Hey guys, thank you for joining the quest again today. I am your host Marquise Underwood, and today I'll be doing my top 10 best movies of 2017. This is more of a mixture of my favorites and what I consider some of the best movies of the year. Keep in mind, I did not see every movie. If you've been following my channel, you know that I've not gone to the movies as often this year as I have done in the past. But I did manage to check out some movies once they hit DVD, Blu-ray, video on demand. So these are just my thoughts. I do have some honorable mentions. One thing that will probably be surprising to you guys is that Star Wars is not on my list. It was my most anticipated, and I really did like the movie. I just felt that these movies were better in my opinion. So let's get started with my honorable mentions. First off is Good Time, Robert Pattinson. That's probably his best performance. The Big Sick, really relatable story. It's a nice coming of age one. John Wick Chapter 2, great action. I like the story, a nice continuation of the first one. Split, M. Night Shyamalan, he's back, and this one is proof. And I even like the end twist. The Zookeeper's Wife, Jessica Chastain is one of my favorite actresses, and she was amazing in this one. Another Holocaust movie, but it didn't really feel like it was pounding me in the head with the themes that we should all know by now. And A Ghost Story. A24 is probably my favorite production studio. In this movie, though it's very different from other movies that you've probably seen in your life, this was just phenomenal. So let's get started. Number 10 on my list is War for the Planet of the Apes. Now in this movie, there is no war, but this is more of a piece of themes of what is the difference between man and the apes. Obviously, we see Caesar is captured, and this is the last story in the trilogy. And this honestly is one of the best trilogies out there for the past 10, 15 years, even of all time. I felt this one was such a great ending piece. It is a lot different from the first two. I do think the second one's better, but this one was a nice companion piece, and it's not really that big of a difference in quality. Number 9 on my list is Wonder Woman. Now, Wonder Woman is the first female superhero movie that we have ever had since the inception of movies. So this one was definitely going to be hyped up a lot, and definitely was going to be scrutinized if it did not live up to the potential. And boy did it, especially with a female director too, and Patty Jenkins. This movie was phenomenal. The last act kind of blew it for me, kind of similar to what happened in The Wolverine, if you remember that movie. But Wonder Woman was definitely its own unique piece, and for all the origin movies that we get, this movie was phenomenal. Number 8 on my list is Logan. Now, if you've been following the X-Men movies, you know that in the first X-Men movie, Logan was kind of a loner. He didn't really want to help anybody. It was kind of weird, but at the same time, really happy and satisfying to see him grow. And he's helping kids out in this movie. And he doesn't have the same powers as he did before. And Professor X and his dynamic is still here. But this is really a tale of the evolution of a character who was just a lone wolf and becoming this person that's caring for other people that's just like him. I really like that. It's also a nice, neo-western if you like those movies. Number 7 on my list is It Comes at Night. As I said in my honorable mentions, A24 is probably my favorite production studio, and this movie was hyped up. I know the critics loved it, but the audiences hated it. But I love the movie. The horror does not come from jump scares or any of that nonsense. For more about that, check out my recent video on, why horror movies suck. But instead, It Comes at Night is more of about the fears and how humanity is the bad guy in most of these situations, and I think you guys will really love it. Number 6 on my list is Wind River. Now, Wind River is a movie that I recently saw, and it really blew me out the way. Honestly, it kind of reminded me of another neo-western. Obviously, Sheridan, the director and writer, he's on a winning streak right now with Hell or High Waters last year, and the year before that was Sicario. But this one kind of felt more like a mixture of No Countries for Old Men and Silence of the Lambs. Elizabeth Olsen's character kind of reminded me of Clarice from Silence of the Lambs. And Jeremy Renner, this is probably his best performance. So check this one out. Number 5 on my list is Dunkirk. Now, Dunkirk is another movie that I recently saw, and this is not like any other war movie ever. This is more about the experience. You can tell by the camera shots of how they're on, the equipment in the buildings, and how really we're just trying to get these guys from this beach to the other side in England so that they can survive. And this really shows different dynamics. We see points of views from the helicopters or the planes. We see it from the beach and from the ships. And just people just trying to survive this ordeal for this next few hours or so. It's really heart-wrenching and gut-wrenching, and you feel like you're there, which is a big accomplishment. Number 4 on my list is It. I saw this one recently too, and It, honestly, it was hyped up, and I did want to see it when it was in theaters. I just didn't really have the time, but boy am I glad I saw it. This movie right here was so surprising. I grew up watching the miniseries that came out back in the 90s, whatever, and it did kind of freak me out. I don't think it holds up as well today, but this movie right here, this definitely takes the place. There weren't really jump scares. Honestly, this movie felt more like a Stand By Me or Goonies type of movie than a horror movie, and that's saying something. The characters are great, and it really helped for when the scary and tension-built moments occurred. And I'm definitely looking forward to part 2 when they're adults. Number 3 on my list is another horror movie, Get Out. Now, I did a video analysis of this, breaking it down, and Get Out, honestly, it was a phenomenal movie. Another one that was hyped up, so I was kind of scared, but I did like the themes, the allegories, and the metaphors of what the movie was trying to say. It was definitely relatable as, a black person in America. Definitely something that everybody should see. Subject matter is very important and really relevant in today's, political day and age that we're living in. And it definitely holds up as a horror movie, or just as, the movie with the themes as I talked about earlier. Number 2 on my list, it's probably going to be one of the most hated movies of the year for you guys, but to me, it's Mother. Yes, it is on the nose with the biblical allegories, but I understand what the director was trying to do, and I really liked his approach. I like movies that don't play it safe, and you either like it or you don't. And this was a phenomenal version of that. Basically, it's really just a retelling of humanity and how we came to be these vicious people. And I guess Darren Aronofsky, from what I understand, gave some letter to people at the screenings about how he felt about the world. I really feel like you can take this movie in different ways, whether it's the biblical allegory or global warming or different things. I would love to do an analysis on this movie, but it was really good, and I really think that the acting and everything about this movie was fine. Number 1 for me, if you've been following my channel, and I probably said this was number 1 in my review, it's Blade Runner 2049. Now, Blade Runner 2049, this movie was hyped up, at least for the hardcore Blade Runner fans like me. I really enjoyed Blade Runner, and it still holds up with the themes and how it looks, the cinematography. Blade Runner 24, it could have just been like a ripoff of the first one, copying and pasting what it did, but instead it's its own story that just has a few relatable moments and elements from the original Blade Runner, and it's just telling it in a new way, and with the new technology that we have. The cinematography is pretty much the same with the neo-noir stuff. And man, some of these twists I did not see coming, and they felt really relevant. I know some people did not like the movie. I don't know if they're just not Blade Runner fans, or some of them are Blade Runner fans and just being nitpicky. But it's still following the core themes of what makes us human. It doesn't even answer if, Harrison Ford's character is replicant or not. I just felt like this movie was phenomenal. Now, I want to thank you guys for watching this list. Again, these are my lists for the top 10 best movies of the year. I plan on doing my top 10 worst movies of the year next. Also, maybe my most anticipated for 2018. And finally, maybe some hidden gems for 2017 that you guys might have heard some things about but just weren't hyped up for. If you're new, you want to hit the like button for this video, you want to hit the subscribe button for this channel, and you want to join the quest.